Hey guys, Tex here. Welcome back. We're in the middle of our flight here where we left the Earth. We're headed to Venus. You can see Venus just ahead of us. We are looking good for a slingshot past Venus. We're going to head back to Earth, but we're not going to stop. We're going to slingshot the Earth and then finally arrive at Mars. If you guys are new here, you know I've been posting videos like this for a little while. It has been some time since I've made videos because life has been very busy for me, but I'm really excited to be sharing this new series with you guys. Hope you are enjoying the flight so far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so here we are. We have reached Venus, and we've made a couple of course corrections along the way, but so far everything is looking really good. This still seems to be slipping off. Our relative inclination has slipped off a little bit. I don't know if it's really worth doing any more adjustments this close to Venus. I think it's going to cost a lot more fuel than it's worth. I will just play around with linear RCS for just a second here. Let's see if I do... Yeah, if I do down to adjust the plane, it's going to take quite a bit of linear RCS because we're so close to the planet. So I think I'm just going to stop there. I don't think it's really worth it. It's so close to zero. I would like it closer, but you know, we have plenty of fuel, so I might as well use it, I guess. Let me just play around with this for a second. I think we can get this on zero. That would be more ideal, certainly. All right, that's it. That's all the adjustment I'm going to do right there. Okay, you can see our flight path looks good right here. We're coming in right to plan as we come by our closest approach of Venus here. Here's our closest approach right here by Venus, and that is looking like that's going to be, I'm not even sure, what is that, 8,000 kilometers, I guess, maybe? I'm not sure what that number is, but it's pretty high up. But there goes Venus. Not much to see, a bunch of clouds, but it's pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool. Hop out, look at the external view. There we go. Amazing, amazing. All right, so as we depart Venus, I'm just gonna turn the spacecraft around so we can kind of look at Venus as we coast away from it here. All right, and let's time accelerate. And let's leave Venus in our rear view mirror as we head back to Earth. Time accelerate. That looks so cool with the rays from the sun. I added that sun flare effect in the DX9 settings. Okay. So you see the G-field contribution is dropping here for Venus. So it will be interesting to see once we escape Venus how far off our plan is for our slingshot past the Earth. So I'm hoping in this part we can get to the Earth. And then that would mean the next part we should be able to get to Mars. So let's kill this rotation and time accelerate a little bit faster as we rapidly leave Venus behind. G-field contribution is almost to zero, and we should see Transx update here in a minute. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. We're in the neighborhood, so you can see we're leaving Venus right here. The Earth's orbit is the outer blue line. So we're going to fly out like this. We're actually going to go way outside of Earth's orbit because we picked up some velocity by slingshotting Venus. So we have this extra velocity that brings us out past the Earth's orbit, and then we swing back in for a pass by the Earth here, where we'll pick up some more velocity to get us out to Mars. Okay, so going back to Transx over here, right now, I mean, we're in the neighborhood, but we're still not close enough for a proper approach of the Earth. So we're definitely going to need a course correction. Now the question is, where do I do that course correction? I wonder if it makes sense to do it over here. No, wait a minute, we're here. I wonder if it makes sense to do it here at this line of nodes again. So why don't we do that? Why don't we coast to what I think is this line of nodes, even if it's this one, they're right there together. And let's see what kind of delta velocity we're going to need for course correction there. So let's just time accelerate. And on its own, you can see that the closest approach is coming down. So without doing anything, we're now in the neighborhood. We now actually have an encounter by the Earth. But we want to get that obviously much closer. Wow, the sun looks really close when you're at Venus's orbit. Certainly different than the Earth. Okay, so closest approach is still ticking down. And I think right about this line of nodes here, if that's even what that is, I bet that's when our closest approach is going to stop ticking down. Right about there. I think that's where we need to do our course correction. Okay. Let's face the vessel prograde, and while we're doing that, let's go ahead and set up a maneuver. Turn on maneuver mode. And let's go to the date. Again, this doesn't so much matter when you're doing a mid-course correction, but I like to I like to do it anyways. I bet it's going to take prograde, and it looks like probably a little bit of plane change. I think this plane needs to be swung over, maybe some outward too. So let's start. Whoa. Okay, prograde is super sensitive. Just a little bit of prograde gets us there, so not really doing much there. Let's see what outward does. I know it's going to take some plane change, so let's throw that in and see what that does. And okay, so plane change, outward. And again, we're just going to go back and forth with our variables here. And if I remember, I think this part of the flight was the tricky part. Getting the sling to line up from Venus around Earth was the tricky part. So just give me a minute here while I play with the variables and see what we can come up with. That's not helping. Okay, a little bit of that. Seems like plane change and prograde velocity seems to be helping the most. There's a lot of plane change going in there, 433 meters per second, but hardly any velocity. Outward, not really helping. Let's try more plane change. Okay, so that seems like we're having to put a lot of plane change in. So I wonder if this might not be the best place to do this correction. I'm kind of thinking that maybe the best place to do the correction is way out here when we're far away from all of the planets. But the problem is that's a long ways away, and I don't know how far I want to go without having at least a closer approach. So it becomes a question of is the maneuver worth the delta velocity it's going to take? And for our purposes, it probably is, because we have more than enough fuel. It seems like we're going to be more than okay on fuel for this flight. So I'm thinking we might as well just go ahead and do whatever we need to do here to get this closest approach better. Okay, we're getting in the neighborhood there. This is looking a lot better here. Seems like outward's not really doing anything. It's all plane change and prograde. A lot of plane change. That's almost 1,000 meters per second of plane change going in there. That's way more than I thought it was going to take. So I don't know if how much of that is my own fault, or just the way this plan is worked up. Let's see what we got here. So that's over 1,000 meters per second of plane change right there. Let's get back in with our prograde. Okay, so we're getting close. Let's go super. More plane change. And then velocity, prograde velocity. That's getting us right there. There we go. That's what we want. That's pretty close. Let me see if I can just clean it up just a little bit. Super sensitive right there. And then we're going to come back. Looks like outward didn't really do much. Let's see what outward does here. I think it's just going to do a little bit of velocity. There we go. That's going to be close enough, guys. At this point, we're a long ways out. Relative inclination on 0, PE ratio on 1. Looks good. 36 seconds to the burn, and we're looking at a pretty big burn here. 1,000 meters per second, but we have plenty of delta velocity. So looks like most of it's going to be plane change, so we're going to be pointing the vessel upwards here. And let's get the burn. There we go. Oh, I forgot to set the interval timer. Gosh darn it. Oh, shoot. No, stop. God dang it. It did the burn automatically, and I didn't have the vessel situated. Let's turn on. It's more important. It's more important out here with these correction burns. It's more important that the vessel is pointed right than it is to have it timed perfectly. So we might have screwed up the plan a little bit there, but I'll see if I can clean it up with some linear RCS. All right, so we're gonna have to do this burn manually now. We'll just Buck Rogers it here. All right, so we're good. We're pointed straight forward, full power, and we're gonna watch Delta V here. Countdown. Let's time warp. Uh-oh. What happened? Did we run out of fuel? Why did it stop burning? Oh, I think burn time must have just ended the timer. Okay, so we're still burning. 600 seconds of Delta V remaining, or I should say 600 meters per second of Delta V remaining. And everything looks good. So we're going to manually cut the engines here. Once we get a little bit closer, 200 meters per second remaining. And engine cut off. Wow, look at that. That's close. Okay, we didn't overshoot. Just a little bit more cleanup on the burn, and I know we're gonna have to probably clean this up a little bit more because we kind of screwed up the burn there. Let's turn off auto center, and then let's turn off the maneuver mode. There we go. It's not too bad. That's fine. We'll just go with that. Okay. Let's save the state here. And let's go and set the interval timer, even though we forgot to set it when we left Venus behind us quite a ways ago. We'll start it there, and let's go take a look. Locks, plenty of locks. 895 days remaining. And fuel, we're doing more than okay there. So we are 201 elapsed days into the mission. And according to my calculations, it was going to take 965 days. And I think it's because we have to go, we have to orbit way out here, come back to the Earth, and then orbit way out to Mars. So it's like we're going around the solar system 2 times, I think. So that explains why it's going to take 965 days. So we still have a long ways to go on this mission. Let's go ahead and we're doing okay on the time. Let's go ahead and time warp ahead. I want to really see if we can get to Earth in this part. And then once again, we'll wrap this part up with Earth encounter. Next part, we'll pick it up with the slingshot by Earth and arrival at Mars. So just looking at TransX over here, you can see here's Venus, here's Earth back here behind us, and here we are. So this is where we're going to go way out from the Earth. I'm watching over here. We're deviating a bit. This is not to be surprised. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do another mid-course correction burn way out here. I think it might actually be pretty cheap to do it out here if I'm remembering correctly. And then I think that mid-course correction burn will probably be good enough until we basically have one more mid-course or one more correction burn just before Earth encounter. So we are on max time warp. Let's just sit back and let this time pass until we get to the course correction. Okay, we are about where I was thinking about doing the mid-course correction, but you can see here that we're not that far off from the plan. PE ratio looks good. Relative inclination is slightly off, but there's really not much I don't think we need to do right now. I think I'm just going to leave it alone, and we'll coast a little bit further. If it starts getting off too much more, then we'll do a course correction, but I think right now it's just not worth it. So let's just continue to coast forward a little bit. Okay guys, sorry for the splice. I had to cut in on the video here because the game crashed when we were at max time warp somewhere over here. But remember, we were talking about doing a course correction over here. It just doesn't look like we really need to worry about it. We are so close. I think what I'm going to do is get a little bit closer. Our encounter with the Earth is over here. We are here, and the Earth is back here. So we have to kind of come in like this while the Earth comes in that direction. So when we get over here much closer to our encounter, I think that's where I'm going to do whatever small course correction is going to be necessary to clean this up a little bit. So let's just go ahead and very carefully time warp ahead. I don't know why, but for whatever reason the game crashed. But thankfully I had a saved state from somewhere back here. So all right, so let's get a little bit closer here. We're going to be doing just the small course correction. We'll encounter Earth, and then we're going to wrap this this episode up there. But like I said, I mean, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good right here. So I'm happy with this. If we go forward in time, I'm scared to push any buttons right now. I don't want the game to crash again. But when we slow time down, we'll take a look. We're a ways off from any encounter at Mars, but the hardest part of the flight is over now once we get the slingshot past the Earth here. So should not be very difficult at all to set up an encounter at Mars. Okay, we're getting pretty close. I think I'm going to start thinking about doing a final correction about now. It's probably going to be good enough. Let's go ahead and point the vessel prograde. Just speed time up, get the vessel situated here prograde. Okay, now I think we can probably just use a little bit of linear RCS to play around with this and see if I can just manually do this. You know what, I'll just go ahead and set up a maneuver because I'm not 100% sure which way to go with that, so we'll just do it the right way. Just set up a small little maneuver here. Looks like a little bit of prograde, and I bet it's not going to take much plane change, maybe a little bit of outward. And let's try plane change and see what that does for us. So maybe plane change and not outward, but plane change and prograde is probably going to be the ticket. Yep, that's going to be it. Okay, so let's go back to outward. Let's get rid of that, and we're just going to do the plane change and prograde. I believe that's all we need. That's getting us really close. Probably just a little bit of plane change to get that lined up. Back to prograde. And then plane change, very small amount. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's burn that. What do we need? 8 meters per second, and it looks like
rotation, translation.
It's going to be down, and I think it was forward. Yeah, down and forward. It's going to get us there. Okay, now we just go forward. Not much at all. You can use the control key to make small micro bursts with your linear RCS and really clean the burn up. Get that as deadly accurate as we can. And that's about as good as I'm gonna take it right there. So let's turn off maneuver mode, and there we go. So let's save this. All right, so we have a save state there. Let's very carefully, I'm gonna actually pull up over here, orbit MFD. Let's reference the Earth so we can see our G-field contribution as we approach the Earth. And we should see the Earth to our left, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. Should be to our left somewhere. There it is. A little hard to see the sun, but there's the Earth and the moon right there. So let's time accelerate and get closer here. Oh, let me kill that rotation. Okay. So we'll get to Earth encounter, and let me watch this. Make sure this doesn't slip off too much on our approach here. I wonder how much the time acceleration doing warp speed affects these calculations, but it's close enough. I don't think I'm going to make any adjustments there. Okay, so I'm seeing our G-field contribution climb up here. Once I see it get not to 50, maybe 25 or so, so I know we're really getting encountered by the Earth, I want to make one more small adjustment here. So let's just time warp ahead, watching that G-field contribution as we approach the Earth. There's the moon right there. So we're coming in, obviously, behind the Earth from the sun, so it's really hard to see the Earth because we're on the night side, but you can see the moon right there flying by. So that's pretty cool. So we're not really going to see the Earth until we slingshot past it, and then we'll see a view of it as we leave it behind us. We're just being blinded by the sun right now. Okay, so G-field contribution is right about where I want it to do a quick course correction here. So let's just point the vessel prograde. And probably won't take much. I think it's going to be a little bit of plane change and prograde velocity probably. Relative inclination is off by a little bit there. So let's bring that down. And what do we need to do for PE ratio? Let's see here. Maybe it would be more efficient to just set up a quick maneuver. Let's see what we can do here. I don't think that's gonna work because we're already encountered. So let's probably not worth messing with this, but I'll just do it manually here. So we need to go down, is bringing relative inclination to 0. And the PE ratio is still a little bit high too. How can we get that down? PE ratio is 1.2. Yeah, the PE ratio is off quite a bit. And we might be too close to the Earth to really adjust that. Okay, so forward seems to be doing it. Total Buck Rogers here. Okay, so let's do plane change. So down, linear RCS down, and a little bit of forward thrust. Seems to be getting where we want to be. Okay, relative inclination is looking good. PE ratio is right where we want it. And there we go. That looks good. Perfect. Much better. Much better. Now we're perfectly aligned there. All right. So we are good. Let's just time accelerate and get to Earth encounter. Where is the Earth? There it is. Let's time accelerate here. And then we'll do a quick save right by the Earth. And that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. Really hard to see the Earth through the sun there. But we look good. And I think if we look forward in time, yeah, we don't have an encounter at Mars per se. We're off quite a bit, but after the sling, we'll be able to, you know, make an adjustment. We're in the neighborhood, but we'll be able to easily make that adjustment. But you can see how much velocity we've added to our flight plan, which brings us actually past the orbit of Mars, and then we come back in and catch Mars here. So, all right, time accelerate a little bit further as we come by the Earth here. And let's point the vessel prograde here relative to the Earth. And we are situated. Okay. Transects on both sides. Take a quick look outside. And you can see there's the Earth. So we are on our way to slingshot the Earth, and that's going to get us out to Mars. So I'm going to wrap this part up here, guys. We'll pick up the next part right where we left off, and probably get out to Mars. And so, yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Hope you're doing well. Take care, and we'll see you guys in the next video.